The Golden Rule. The Golden Rule. Those who have the gold make the rules. We all have the tendency to chuckle when we see this perversion of a principle that was learned in childhood, one that serves us very well, that we should do unto others as we would have them do unto us. But this corruption is very true also. I think that it is a pity that it is not often looked upon with favor. Perhaps it is because we have almost lost the concept of what capitalism is all about. The common man has become so infatuated with living for today that the importance of saving, of creating capital, is all but a lost value. The American savings rate is miserably low. At the time of this writing, it has been negative. Last month, it was at an all-time low. As a result, someone else must provide the capital that is necessary to sustain our way of life. This strategy carries with it a very high cost, and we all suffer the consequences. It all begins with a faulty premise. Let me build the case this way. What could be more idyllic than a marriage of Japanese capital and Mexican labor? Here we have one group of people who need employment in the worst way, and there is another group that has more money than you can imagine. If we can only get them together on a project, it would be paradise. A few years back, Panasonic wanted to build a plant in Mexico to solve the obvious equation. But in the infinite wisdom of the Mexican government at the time, if you wanted to establish such a business there, they required that Mexicans should own 51% of the business. That means that Mexicans control the business. The typical Japanese strategy runs something like this. You put money into a business, and you should expect to lose money for 5 years. When you start making money, you should plow it all back into the business for 5 more years. Only after this time should you expect to take money out of the business. But the typical Mexican outlook on a business venture is to demand a bonus at the very start, like a signing bonus for a star athlete, etc. Do I have to tell you what happened? Panasonic pulled out of Mexico and went somewhere else where capital is appreciated and managed with care. Who won and who lost in the story? Panasonic had the gold, and so they made the rules. It can be no other way. Capital is a responsibility and should be treated with great respect. If not, then all parties involved will lose. It is really difficult to write or talk about this fact, perhaps because it is so blatantly obvious. When you have a large amount of cash on hand, all sorts of good opportunities will appear, and you can also negotiate very favorable purchase prices. So many of life's problems would disappear if this understanding was generally accepted and practiced widely among the population. A word of caution is in order. Do not think that everyone must conduct his financial affairs in this manner. It is not a numbers game. Individuals can reap the rewards that such discipline yields. In fact, we all need to remind ourselves that whatever you do in the financial world is compared with what everyone else is doing. Then, why is there general despair in our country regarding financial matters? Why are people paying through the nose for capital? Why the feelings of helplessness and futility? I say again, it all begins with a faulty premise. Let me try to explain it this way. I was recently rereading a piece that Jackson Pemberton wrote back in 1976 entitled A New Message on the Constitution. I'm assuming that there is general agreement that we face monumental problems in our country at present, which can easily destroy us. Pemberton is writing as if he was one of the founding fathers involved in construction of the Constitution, and is pointing out where successive generations have gone astray. Quote, "But in spite of all our careful efforts, we knew that it was not sufficient to merely launch the ship of state correctly. It needed to be tended by an alert, informed, and jealous citizenry. But history, like nature, travels in cycles. Both liberty and oppression contain the seeds of their own destruction. Our success has brought the security which put you to sleep." Unquote. Now, basking in the dimming brilliance of the lights of liberty, you have been neither vigilant nor informed, and only recently have you begun to realize the correctness of your rising jealousy for your rights. Let those feelings of jealousy well up within you and cause you to alert yourselves to your true condition. Your executives have taken upon themselves to form foreign alliances and make domestic regulations without proper authority. They have violated your most fundamental law. Your judiciary has ignored the amending process and altered the meaning and intent of the Constitution they were sworn to defend. They have betrayed your most fundamental law. Your Congress has been watchful, yet not of the encroachments of the other two branches, but for the opportunity to gain influence by purchasing your favor with your own money. They have ignored your most fundamental law, and you seek for a remedy while it stares you in the face. You have lost the vision of your most fundamental law. Let me show you. You call the National Charter the Constitution of the United States, and that simple phrase contains both the totality of your plight and the seeds of your salvation, for in those 6 words you reveal your feeling that both you and your law are subject to your government. You are not the slave of government at all, but because you think so, you may as well be. Nay, the Constitution is your servant and the master of your government. It is not the Constitution of the United States. It is the Constitution of the people, and for the United States. It is not only the law by which you are governed, it is the law by which you may govern your government. It is not the law by which high-handed politicians may impose their collective will upon you. It is for you to impose it upon them. It does not belong to the government, it belongs to you. It is yours. It is yours to enforce upon your government. It is yours to read to those self-wise do-gooders, and if you will hold it high in your right hand, they will quail and flee before it like the cowardly knaves they are, while those who are your true friends will rejoice in your new commitment. This explains what I mean when I say most people know there is a play going on out in the world, but they don't understand it. Worse than that, they can't get the characters in the play straight. Recalling that Shakespeare said, "All the world is a stage, and the people are the actors thereon." People just don't play their proper role in the scheme of things. They have abdicated their opportunity, responsibility, as it pertains to the banking function in the economy. They are depending on someone else to perform that job, and that character in the play is making most of the money. And rightly so. Because of the golden rule, those who have the gold make the rules. It can be no other way. To further compound the problem, there is this prevailing tendency in the current crop of Americans to look to government solutions to what they think is a problem that is outside themselves. I don't have any money to buy a home, go to college, buy food, endure an emergency, care for my health, maintain the lifestyle that I desire, etc. So there should be some sort of government program to provide these things for me. I have a right to them. Bureaucrats, elected officials, teachers in government schools, some members of the clergy, political action committees, media people, and there is no telling how many other such groups I have left out, foster this kind of thinking at every turn. It is a national disease, and to survive in the future, this disease must be overcome. You just can't think that way and succeed. Succumbing to these feelings produces a huge burden on your financial future. The price must be paid. You will always be at the mercy of the ones who have the gold. Further amplification of this factor will be given later in the book in the chapter entitled The Cost of Acquisition. Ayn Rand, in her tremendous novel Atlas Shrugged, isolates the results of this type of thinking perfectly. It is a long book, some 1,100 pages, but it is well worth reading.